Welcome to the Purposely Aligned Entrepreneur Podcast presented by Boss Girl Creative. This is episode number 495. Today, I'm talking about a variety of things, including old man comments and handling the loss of another assistant. Now let's dive in. Hey, I'm Taylor Bradford, host of the Purposely Aligned Entrepreneur Podcast presented by Boss Girl Creative. I help small business owners turn their purpose into a paycheck, and it starts with visibility. In the online world, visibility equates to sales. So if you're dreaming of being the next $1 million entrepreneur, you've come to the right place, because weekly I share visibility tips, brand advice, and business resources. So grab a notebook, your favorite pen, and a beverage, and let's do the work. Hello, beautiful human. Thank you for being with me here today. I'm your host, Taylor Bradford, of this podcast. Today, I will be chatting about nighttime vitamins, nighttime anxiety, old man comments, changes coming to the podcast, and managing my most recent assistant, actually losing her, and all of that went into that. So let's have a quick reminder on what we can do to support this show and how you can support your favorite creators, especially during this time of the year. But as always, so first of all, I would love it if you don't listen to this podcast through Apple. I know it's probably easy, but I want to give you an opportunity to listen elsewhere because Apple has really crushed my podcast. And you can pick a new one through this link, bossgirlcreative.com/listen. There's a variety of ways to listen to podcasts outside of Apple, and this will get you there. And then it will save, every time you use this link, it will save which podcast listening app you prefer, and it will take you straight to my show, bossgirlcreative.com/listen. And then also, I would love to hear from you, whether it's feedback, whether it's a show topic, whether it's an aha moment, whatever that might be. Go to bossgirlcreative.com/speak to leave me some audio feedback or support or encouragement or aha moments or whatever you want to share with me in audio form. You can also do that through DM at my Instagram at bossgirlcreative. You can do that as well. So there are free ways to support your favorite creators. You can share an episode of their podcast to someone that you think might benefit from that episode, or you can just share it to the world. You can leave comments. You can leave feedback. You can like, comment, save their Instagram content. And I would appreciate that. Not necessarily with Boss Girl Creative. I would love it if you would interact with me on my regular Instagram at Taylor L. Bradford. But then there are monetary ways that you can support my efforts. You can buy my book, which is an easy link to get there, bossgirlcreative.com/pillars book. That's pillars with an S, book. You can book a one-to-one consult with me by going to bossgirlcreative.com/back pocket, BACKPOCKET. And then also you could buy my 90-day undated planner, since we've got 2025 knocking on the door for us. Grab a 90-day undated planner from me. Go to bossgirlcreative.com/BGC planner to grab one of those. So free ways, just a friendly reminder on how you can support your favorite creators and then how you can financially support me specifically. And just friendly reminder. So there are changes coming to the podcast. And this reminds me of a moment from the original Mary Poppins where Bert, played by Dick Van Dyke, says, "Wind's in the east, mist coming in, like something is brewing and about to begin." And I have been noodling on this for quite some time, trying to figure out the direction. Obviously, I have episode number 500 is coming out in early 2025. I looked at the calendar today, and episode 499 actually will be recorded in like late 2024, so around the last weekend of 2024, and technically I could possibly get it published on New Year's Eve, but officially it will be released on New Year's Day. So January 1, 2025 is episode 499. And then episode 500 follows right behind it. And what a perfect time to make a change for the podcast. And if you are following me on my personal Instagram or even on Boss Girl Creative, you have seen me hinting at some of this. Heck, even in last week's episode, I have hinted about some of this and trying to determine, like, do I do a name change? It kind of feels like I'm about to do a name change. I'm kind of working with the new name of And So. I am trying to locate some original audio. Actually, it's video, but I don't have a VCR anymore. So I need to locate a VCR because I've got some tapes from when I was little of me saying the word and so over and over and over. That was just like my words. But I don't have a VCR anymore, and I'm not 100% certain which VHS tape this is actually on, so I'm going to have to do some exploring, and I don't want to just send random tapes off and pay for them to be digitized to have nothing on them, because there's no writing on them, so I have no clue what's actually on them, which is so wild. But I feel like this is a good pivot. I think that there's a lot of really cool things going on in my world. And I had one of my mentors say this feels very expansive, like this move, this pivot. And I think it's really going to be a good thing. It's going to be a good thing. It's not going to change the format all that much as far as like what I talk about from week to week, but it will just allow me to have more musings about what it's like to be a successful entrepreneur in a multitude of businesses. So it will be musings from my life and my businesses and the kind of the experiences that I have week to week and all of that. So there will be teaching moments. You will be learning. You will be laughing. Maybe you will be like ahawing or yesing, or I feel that. I hope that's what you get out of these future episodes. That's the goal. The format as far as like the intro is going to change, and I'm just going to spice things up. I'm going to make changes. I'm officially putting that out to the universe. Changes are coming. It will be officially celebrated with episode number 500, new show art, new show name, new intro. I've got my work cut out for me. I've got all of December to get this stuff figured out, but I sometimes like to fly by the seat of my pants. It gives me some motivation where I'm lacking. And so, yeah, changes are coming to the podcast. I'm really excited about them. And so here we are. Here we go. We are on track to get to episode number 500, which is a celebration in and of itself. And I couldn't be more thrilled. And yeah, so see, that's my anchor word. So it's going to make total sense. On to topic 2, nighttime vitamins. So I'm curious to know if you have a nighttime vitamin routine. So I have been using Mary Ruth vitamins for quite some time, and they have a nighttime mineral that I take. But I can tell you that when I actively take it, it allows me to stay asleep, but it allows me to have very vivid dreams. And I'm not 100% certain what is in the nighttime minerals that's triggering that. There's nothing bad in the minerals themselves, but something makes my brain or dream state just really go in a crazy direction. And it is quite wild. But all that to say, so I've been taking their nighttime vitamins or the nighttime mineral formula. I also take magnesium at night because I am waking up with my hands swollen, which is so bizarre because I don't really move a whole lot in sleep, which is probably part of the problem. I drink enough water. I feel like I am now like being more conscious about electrolytes during the day and, making sure that I am getting enough of those. Just in my 40s, so I'm early 40s. In my 40s, I really started noticing changes with how I function. And so I'm doing my best to try and support the changes that I'm noticing. But one thing is my hands get really swollen overnight. And I do find that my circulation kind of fails in rest mode. And so I know that that's probably some of it, but I don't know how to fix that. So I'm still Googling. And also my nighttime anxiety. So I feel like I have high functioning, like I'm a high functioning individual, and I function well with normal anxiety. I don't know that that's a good thing. I don't think having anxiety is a good thing, but I function through my current anxieties. But at nighttime, I feel like my anxieties lately have really magnified themselves. And the most recent experience, actually, I am recording this at 6 a.m. because I have been awake since 4:45 due to anxiety. And I don't know where this particular anxiety that woke me up is coming from. Like, I don't have anything that I am stressed about. It could be a rollover effect from yesterday because I went to sleep the day before telling, like in my prayers, saying, please handle my anxiety about seeing my assistant tomorrow, which was Monday, and how I'm going to handle the conversation because I actually was going to let my assistant go. There were too many instances, and I will kind of go into them, too many instances where just a lack of maturity, having entitlement, just messing up, having some failures that were just magnified by the fact that there is nobody to make up for the failures. So it makes it even like proportionally greater because there's nobody to make up for it. And so I went to sleep Sunday night having anxiety, knowing I was going to have the confrontation. And I don't do confrontation well at all. I don't know who does, but I don't. And I went to sleep saying prayers, please take this anxiety away. Please give me support. Please nurture whatever is going to come my way through emotions. And it may just have all bottled up and then force its way out in my sleep tonight. And that could be why I woke up at 4:45. And I have been waking up, like I woke up around 2 and I was like, is it time to wake up yet? So it could be bottled up anxiety that's spilling over. It's so wild what you experience as you start to age. We're all aging, right? Every time we have a birthday, we turn another age and then we get a little bit older. But like in my 40s, I feel like things are proportionately coming on faster. So much to look forward to. But yeah, the nighttime anxiety is wild because right now I don't really have anything to be anxious about. It's interesting. Life is interesting, don't you think? So let's talk about the fact that now I have worked through my third assistant. And now I'm trying to figure out how do I best set myself up for success for assistant number 4. I've already got my job listing back over on Indeed. I'm using that platform again, and I'm actually boosting the job, putting some money behind it so that I can get candidates to apply. I had 5 candidates apply right out of the gate, which tells me they have either paid to have jobs sent to them and they like automatically apply. I don't know how that works when you're the job seeker, but none of them were qualified. One of them is in the event world and is actively planning events. So I felt that was a conflict of interest because you can't do both. You can't work for me and also still plan events. And the rest just didn't ultimately have the skill sets that I was looking for based on their resume and what they included. So one of the big things that happened with this most recent assistant is this job is physically demanding. And I don't know how to make that any more clear when I say, can you lift 50 to 75 pounds routinely? Like, we are professional furniture schleppers. Let me give you an idea. We just did an event where I had 12 farm tables out, 130 chairs out. So that is loading 12 farm tables into my trailer. That is loading 130 chairs into my trailer. That is driving to the site. That is unloading 130 chairs. That is unloading 12 tables and actually setting them up and placing them and making sure that my spacing is okay. That is coming back after the event. And this one was the next day. Was it the next day? No, this one was nighttime. And it is reversing all of that. That is repacking 130 chairs into my trailer. That is breaking down 12 farm tables and getting them back into my trailer. That is then driving back to my warehouse and unloading everything. That is for one event. It is moving furniture 4 times for every single event. That's how it works. It is a lot of moving. And I don't think that my most recent assistant fully understood what that entailed, because when we moved tables for the first time, tables and chairs, the very first event that had a lot was 10 farm tables and 100 chairs. And my bookkeeper was on that crew for that particular event, and she recalls now saying she had a conversation with the last assistant about, hey, this is just tables and chairs. Wait till she has a much bigger event that is lounge furniture and tables and chairs and decor and other furniture items. Just wait. This is nothing. This is just tables and chairs. And so I don't know that it is what she thought it would be, but I can tell you that most of my assistants, except for my first one until I guess she became jaded about what we do, is that they think we're going to play Cinderella princess party all the time. And it is a physically demanding job. So in my job description, I have reiterated the fact that this is a physically demanding job. And because you're constantly moving furniture, and you also have to maintain my warehouse and keep things organized, which means you're going to be shuffling furniture a lot, especially when I need you to clean the floors and move furniture around to get to all of the floors. And so I'm trying to be more methodical about how I actually hire the next person. And now, because I'm on the tail end of my busy season, which assistant number 2 left me really high and dry, and maybe that is why I kind of misstepped with hiring assistant number 3. I didn't give myself an opportunity to really evaluate the candidates. I just needed the warm body and somebody that can move furniture or lift things, because I can't lift this stuff by myself. If I could, I wouldn't need help, right? Although that would leave me, as I've said in previous episodes, that would leave me very small, and I would never have grown to what I have now with Sugar Creek. So now that I'm out of busy season, I have one more on the books for this year, which is happening this weekend. But it's a very easy one. We load in on a Friday afternoon and we go pick up on a late Saturday afternoon. And then I end up flying to Disney and having no cares for 5 days. And we'll be able to enjoy the rest of my December with my nephew, who is going to be having his very first Christmas, and it's just going to be really fun. So I'm just going to be more intentional, purposeful, methodical about hiring assistant number 4, because 2 assistants in a year, actually 3 assistants in a year. My first assistant, her last day was February 2nd or February 5th of this year. Assistant number 2 started February 5th, and she lasted 7 months. And then this most recent assistant number 3 lasted 8 weeks. 8 weeks, y'all. And the red flag that I missed, that I should have picked up on, is how many jobs assistant number 3 had, and she's 22 years old. Like, prior to me. Now, she did have her most recent job prior to me for a year and a half, so that is saying something, but red flags with a lot of different jobs so early on. And I mistakenly thought that was drive. And no, she is actually looking for a man to take care of her. And that's unfortunate. Not for her, but for me. So managing assistants, that has been something that has caused me a lot of anxiety. And like just having that conversation. And I'm glad I didn't, because she came in on Monday and literally came in to say she was done. There was no 2-week notice. Now, granted, I did tell her last Monday I didn't have any work for her last week, and happy Thanksgiving, your check's under the mat. And I feel like that was kind of a signal to her. But honestly, at that point, A, she's contracted. B, I no longer trusted her, so I didn't want her being in my warehouse by herself because my bookkeeper wasn't going to be working last week due to Thanksgiving. And yeah, so I was like, hey, I don't have any work, and happy Thanksgiving. So I kind of signaled to her. She did talk behind my back to my bookkeeper, which we'll not share on the podcast. And, but I did think I was going to have the conversation, but she did it for me. She did blame it on hurting her back, which never entered into the equation. So last week was Thanksgiving. I didn't have her work, but the week before she missed basically all week, claiming lots of different things, not that her back hurt. And so I really don't know what was truly wrong, but her excuse for turning in her keys and her remote and her gear was that she hurt her back, which I don't know where the truth lies. So I'm just grateful I didn't have to have the conversation that thought I was going to have, which caused the anxiety, which probably is the result of why I'm awake at the time that I'm awake right now. Okay, moving on. Old man comments. Okay, I have revived the House of Sugar Creek YouTube. You can go to youtube.com/the House of Sugar Creek. I would love for you to just hit play. You don't have to watch, just hit play. Unless you're curious, then you can watch. And my most recent video, so last week's video, is come tour my 11 acres with me and find out what I discover. I deleted the first old man comment because I was like, no, your energy is not welcome here. And I kind of wish I wouldn't have done that, hindsight 2020 and all of that. But he basically told me he couldn't watch my whole video because of my editing style and it made him nauseous. And then also I should zoom out more so he can see more of my land. Well, first up, buddy, I don't need that energy, which is why I deleted it, but I should have left it and replied to the comment as I did to the second old man's comment. So I should have left it and replied, but listen, I am not going to show you things I don't want you to see, and I will continue editing the way I want to edit, which, by the way, my video editor did not work out, which is just a whole nother thing. So I'm back to editing my own YouTube videos. It's not hard to do, but I do wish that I would have been able to find that person. So I'm back to the drawing board with that and that virtual assistant company to help me find somebody that might be a better fit. But so I'm back to editing my own YouTube videos, which doesn't really take me a whole lot of time. Like, I'm the one producing it, so I know what to edit. I know what to leave out. And ultimately, I didn't want for last week's video for it to be 30 minutes long. And so as I'm walking, I am cutting out the parts that I'm not talking and is mindlessly walking. Like, there's no point in that. So I did cut. So it is a little choppy, but I did that on purpose. And I'm sorry if it made you nauseous. But yeah, no, I am not going to show you something I don't want you to see. Like, okay. But the second comment, the second old man comment, which I did leave, and I am going to share because I like my response back. Be careful. Dreams are nice, but they have to be paid for. That was Rodney. Rodney left me that nice comment. So I responded to Rodney, not sure what you're implying with your comment, as I'm very aware things cost money. Was that meant to be helpful or hurtful? Don't you worry your pretty little self about my dreams or the money needed to fund them. None of that should be a concern or worry for you. Thanks for watching. Like, I realize that putting myself out there more is going to result in these kinds of comments. And what I was going to say to that, I actually deleted because it was way more snarky. And I don't really have a filter when it comes to how I respond initially. Like, I have to really work at it, you guys. When I get an email, I hit respond and I start immediately answering what the last question was that I was asked in the email. There's not niceties until I stop myself and remember, hey, you should probably put some niceties in here before you get to answering the questions so directly. I do have to actively work on that. So my first edit to the comment was not nice. And I was like, okay, I'm going to have to edit myself. And how do I be kind without being rude? So I feel like I nailed professionally, sarcastically rude in my response to Rodney, who has no picture and probably doesn't have a YouTube channel. Let's go see if Rodney has a YouTube channel. View channel. He has 1 subscriber. Yeah, Rodney does not have a channel. He's just watching people's videos. So my response, not sure what you're implying with your comment, as I'm very aware things cost money. Was that meant to be helpful or hurtful? Don't you worry your pretty little self about my dreams or the money needed to fund them. None of that should be a concern or worry for you. Hearts. Thanks for watching. I also did put the emoji with the little eyeglass and the guy kind of looking off to the side like, Yeah. So, wow. Okay, so old man comments are a new thing for me. I haven't had them before on my YouTube channel, so that's new. I did have a really snarky comment once. We had a video where we are exploring Colorado kind of for the first time with our side-by-side. And we kind of go a different direction than we're supposed to. And we end up talking to a forest ranger, which was so helpful. And at one point, we come across some Great Pyrenees working some sheep. And there is an Australian Shepherd that is also running the sheep. Like, the Australian Shepherd is kind of like doing the herding, and then Great Pyrenees are, pulling up the rear or coming up the rear with the herd. And we could see the owner and his truck in the distance, and he could see us. And one of the Pyrenees was very on task and keeping up, making sure there were no strays to the herd. And then one Pyrenees was like, oh my gosh, a human. Oh my gosh. And it reminded me of Buddy the elf. And it just wanted attention. It wanted to be loved on. It had a big smile on its face. We never got out of our side-by-side. We stayed put, but it, went up on its back paws and just wanted to be loved on. And once he felt like he had enough loving, then he went on his merry way and continued with his task. And I got the snarkiest comment on that video about how I ruined that dog, and shame on me. And it literally was a gigantic paragraph, and that I am what is wrong in the world. Yeah, I don't have space for that either, so I deleted that one. So very interesting to have old man comments now. That's what I'm attracting on my YouTube. So fun. So fun. Okay. Yeah, that's it. That is it for today's podcast. We've got musings, and experiences. And I'm curious, do you experience any of these things? Have you experienced any of these things? What have you done about them? What are you Googling? Like, I literally Googled last night, when I woke up, one of the things that I Googled was, do I need an air purifier? Is that one of my triggers? So I'm curious about your nighttime vitamin routine. If you have one, share that with me. If you have nighttime anxiety, like how do you handle your nighttime anxiety? I'm so curious because I literally was like, there's no point in me just staying in bed. I will not go back to sleep. This is like just an absurdity to deal with. I might as well start my day. So I got up and started my day. I'm so excited about the changes coming to the podcast. I feel like it's going to be like the next thing for me, which is so exciting. So yeah, reminder how you can support your fellow creators that you love is to share what they're doing with your humans or your community. Like, comment, leave messages. Those things help tremendously with creators who are actively producing content. And if you enjoy their content, support them in that way. It does not cost you anything as far as monetary considerations. And then if you do want to support what I'm doing, you can. There are things you can do to support me financially. One of them is buying my book. One of them is buying my planner. One of them is working with me one-to-one. So ways to work with me, ways to support me, they exist. Go back to the top of the show where I talk about them because I don't want to bore you anymore. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, I hope you have a great rest of your week. Hey, real quick before I go, I wanted to pop back in and say again, thank you so much for listening to this latest episode of the Purposely Aligned Entrepreneur Podcast. I would so love a favor from you right now. Would you please share this episode with a friend or share it to your social media and tag me at Boss Girl Creative? Oh my gosh, that would mean so much to me if you did that right now. Okay, I'll see you next week with a brand new episode.